Hey there and welcome. Today we're diving into a really big question. As our world keeps getting warmer, what happens to all that incredible life hidden in our rivers and lakes? We're going to explore a massive scientific effort to literally map out survival in this changing world.
Okay, so what we're digging into today is based on this brand new paper you see right here. It's called the Global Thermal Tolerance Compilation for Freshwater Invertebrates and Fish, led by Helena S. Bayat, and it's published in the journal Scientific Data. Everything we're about to cover comes straight from this amazing piece of research.
And really, it all comes down to this one single question. As things heat up, how hot is actually too hot? For the millions of creatures living in our fresh water, the answer to that is, quite literally, a matter of life or death.
So why does this matter so much? Well, you got to understand what's at stake here. Freshwater ecosystems, they only cover about 3% of the Earth's surface. But, and this is wild, they're home to over half of all known fish species and a third of all vertebrates. They are biodiversity hotspots, and they are in some serious trouble.
Okay, so the key to all of this is something called thermal tolerance. The easiest way to think about it is like the operating instructions for a species. If it gets too cold, systems start to shut down. If it gets too hot, things just break. And knowing these limits is absolutely crucial if we're going to have any hope of predicting who makes it and who doesn't.
Right? But here's the catch. Before this research came along, trying to figure out thermal tolerance on a global scale was kind of like trying to solve a giant jigsaw puzzle with most of the pieces missing. Our understanding was just dangerously incomplete.
The first huge problem? It was taxonomic. See, we had a pretty decent amount of data on fish, but when it came to invertebrates, we're talking insects, crustaceans, mollusks, we were basically flying blind. And this is a huge deal, because invertebrates outnumber fish species by at least 7 to 1. I mean, get this. One of the biggest databases out there had info on only 8 species of freshwater insects. Just 8.
And then there was the where. The second blind spot was geography. As you can see here, a staggering 70% of all the data we had came from just 2 places, Europe and North America. So how can you even begin to make a global prediction when your data is so massively skewed? Short answer, you can't.
This quote from the paper, it just hits so hard. It really drives home how serious this problem was. Basically, what they're saying is that our lack of data was a bigger hurdle, a bigger source of uncertainty than any uncertainty in the climate models themselves. We just didn't know enough about the animals to make good predictions.
So clearly something had to be done. And that's where this incredible project comes in. It was a massive undertaking by a global team of scientists to build a totally new, really comprehensive database from scratch. They called it ThermoFresh. And their process? Wow, it was meticulous. It was basically a global scientific detective story. First, they grabbed all the old databases and mashed them together. Then they launched this massive search for studies, and not just in English, but in Chinese, Spanish, French, and German, to try and fix that geographic bias. They specifically hunted for data on those forgotten invertebrates, and then they painstakingly, manually pulled out and checked every single data point.
And what's just incredible is the timescale we're talking about here. This was like scientific archaeology. The oldest study they dug up was from the year 1900. Can you imagine? They found this big spike in research back in the 70s, probably because people were worried about thermal pollution from power plants. And they brought it all the way up to today. Over 100 years of scattered science, all in one place. So, after all that digging, what did they find? What does this new, much clearer picture of survival actually look like? Let's get into the results.
The numbers are just staggering. All in all, the team put together 6,825 records of thermal tolerance. And you can think of every single one of those as a vital clue, a measurement for a specific species in a specific place at a specific time.
And those records cover 931 different groups of animals. But here's the crucial part. It's now balanced. We're talking 470 invertebrates and 461 fish. Finally, the invertebrates, the silent majority of these ecosystems, are on the map. It gives us a way more realistic picture.
And remember that huge geographic problem? Well, this new database pulls data from 1,082 unique spots all over the world. Now, it's not perfect, but it is a massive leap forward toward getting a truly global view. This chart just shows you why searching in so many languages was such a big deal. Sure, English studies are still the majority, but that other 10%,
That's over 600 records from Chinese, Spanish, and other languages that were absolutely essential for filling in the blanks in underrepresented places, especially arid and tropical climates.
Okay, so this brings us to the most important question, right? We have this incredible new database. So what? How does this knowledge actually help us protect these amazing ecosystems? Well, ThermoFresh is an absolute game changer. For the first time, scientists can really pinpoint which species are in the most danger. They can predict where animals might be forced to move to escape the heat. It gives policymakers the real, hard data they need to create smarter river management plans. And it even helps us understand that 1-2 punch of heat waves and pollution. It is a tool for action. So what this all means is that for the very first time, we have a map. A detailed, reliable, global map. And it's not just a map of rivers and lakes, it's a map of the invisible temperature boundaries that will decide who makes it and who doesn't. So, we have the map. The science is there. The tools are in our hands. The really urgent question now isn't what do we do? It's can we act on what we now know, in time?